My name's Caden. I've done 2 million in sales in the sneaker game since I've got into it, so I'm going to cover the biggest tips and things that I wish I knew when I started out to help me sell shoes quicker. In this video, I'm going to have a list of 5 different tips that are going to help you guys out that you can implement in your business right away and start making even more money. So let's get right into it. And basically with all of reselling, it all starts with buying, right? You have to buy products first in order to be able to sell them. So let's talk a little bit about buying before we get into the selling. And pretty much all of selling starts with buying. If you're buying profitable shoes with the right sizes that are all selling quickly, you're going to sell shoes quickly. You don't even have to do anything else, right? If you're buying the right stuff. And that's why reselling can be really easy, because if you understand what you're buying, you know you're buying the right stuff, that's where you can make good money. However, oftentimes there is a ton of money on shoes that don't sell super quick, right? They might not have the volume as a lot of these hype shoes, right? We like to call those bricks. They're just normal everyday shoes. There's tons of volume on them. So how can you sell them quickly when they aren't super high in demand? So again, if you're having trouble selling a Panda Dunk, that shoe sells thousands of times a day. You don't really need to watch this video because it's not going to help you out. However, if you're stuck with a shoe that you've had for a little longer than you'd like, and it's just not selling for the prices you want, this video is definitely going to help you out and hopefully help you even sell it for higher. So once again, it's all about buying the right pairs and the right sizes. If you have some random size and a bad size and some obscure pair, it's going to take forever to sell, right? And you just have to realize that you made a mistake, okay? So part of it starts with the buying process, and you can kind of go from there. So let's get into the steps that I recommend to everyone to sell your shoes quickly. Number 1, where are you listed and how long have you been listed on that platform? I get this complaint a lot where people will say, Caden, this shoe still hasn't sold for me yet, and they've only had it listed for 2-3 days maybe, right? And it's a shoe that sells maybe once every 2 weeks. So yeah, that's probably why it hasn't sold yet. You haven't left it on the market long enough. We have to realize that shoes don't sell every single second of the day, so you have to build some patience. My clients with the most patience have the longest and the biggest growing businesses that I've ever seen because they can wait and they can afford to wait. So don't ever put yourself in a position where you're always trying to rush and get new things. Like, that's never a good idea. Put yourself in a position where you can wait, extend out that patience. That's where you make more money. But with that, in order to speed up that process, the more people who see your product or your shoe, the more people are likely to buy it, right? A lot of you guys only list on 1-2 platforms at all. Let me tell you, there's hundreds of different reselling platforms that you can sell on. I want you to choose 5 to 10 of them that you really like and list on every single one of them, right? Especially when you're starting out, you have time to do it. You might only have 5-10 pairs of shoes. So list it on all of these platforms at once and follow the rest of the steps in this video so you can sell them even quicker. But do that first. That way you can have even more eyes on your product. Let me give you an example. Let's say I only shop on Go, which I do. I only shop from Go. So if you're listing your shoes on StockX and eBay, there's literally no chance that I'm ever going to buy your shoe. Right, and vice versa. If I'm an eBay buyer or a Facebook Marketplace buyer and I don't check those other platforms and you're not on there, I can't be a customer of you just because you don't relate to me. So you need to be on as many platforms as possible. Now, this is situational, right? If you have a shoe that's listed for only $100 on StockX but goes for $150 on Poison, I don't blame you for not listing it on StockX, right? But realize that your shoe is going to take a little bit longer to sell because you're trying to go for that higher price on Poison, which is totally fair. And I would do the same thing, but you have to realize because you're not on StockX, you're not going to get those StockX customers, which should be millions of people that you're missing out on. And that's okay, right? You just have to realize what you're doing. So number 2, this is a direct step that you can do right now, which is good quality photos, right? On platforms like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, where you have to take photos, you have to list, certain photos and sizes, whatever. Make sure you are taking good quality photos. I'm going to show you on the screen an example of a bad quality photo. This is a perfect example of a bad quality photo. It could be poor lighting, poor setup, whatever. This is an example of a good quality photo, right? You need to take good quality photos on your listings because if you don't, I'm just going to scroll past all the bad listings. I don't like looking at those shoes. They're not something I want. But the good ones will actually catch your eye and they will bring more viewers, which was step number 1, getting more viewers to your posts, which are going to help you sell stuff quicker. And that might even be someone who's not even interested in that shoe that you're listing, but I see the photo, it looks really good, it might make me click, and then maybe I'm interested in it now. All right, so photos can be a complete game changer, and I've seen it turn around a ton of people's businesses where they have terrible photos, right, and they change them to good photos, and guess what? Boom, their business scales. And with step number 2, that leads directly to step number 3, which is having a good product description. There are so many bad product descriptions out there. It's so easy to take an example. Here's an example of a bad one. Here's an example of a good one. People have to know what they're buying, right? Everyone wants to have information about what they're buying. More the better, right? You might not even be someone who just reads product descriptions, but if you are, you want the descriptions. That's going to help you out. Trust me, believe me. And this is a quick step, but a lot of you guys aren't doing it, so you're messing up, right? So really, have good quality photos, have a good description. This also goes with having a good title, right? Let people know what they're buying. You do those things and you make sure you're, again, at a really competitive price, you're going to win. Step number 4 to selling is making sure you're understanding the market, right? So what I say by that is what shoes are coming out, which ones aren't, what's in demand right now. You have to understand the market because that's what's going to help you increase speed, right? So when you're buying shoes as well, understand what people are buying, what's popular right now. Right now, I know long distance running is very popular. So I see a ton of these long distance running shoes and they're making a ton of money because they're not cheap. They're really expensive shoes, but if you can get them cheap, that's where you can make money. So if you understand that when you're buying, those shoes are gonna be really popular. You can get them for cheap. The demand's already there, right? And the seasons change as well. So when we're talking selling, this also goes, with step number 4 right here. You have to understand what season it is. Track season just ended. Pretty much it's summer starting now. Baseball season's gonna be picking up. People are playing football. So guess what? I have a ton of clients selling. Check this out. Boom, football cleats. Boom, football cleats. And all of these are like $80 to $100 profits. And these are just sitting at stores right now because people don't know, right? So understanding the season is very, very important. Would these sell in the winter? Of course not, right? Basketball shoes do. So understanding the season can be very, very important when we're talking about reselling. It's not a huge step. People buy shoes all year round, but it's definitely something that's important. And step number 5, arguably the most important. If you guys ever wonder how clients in my group are selling 52,000 like last month, like Andy did here, and again, these huge, huge sales, it's like, how are they doing this, kid? And it doesn't quite make sense. I can't even get past 1,000, 2,000 in sales. I'll tell you why. They're buying 10 times, if not 100 times more than you, right? And I couldn't conceptualize this when I first started out, right? I couldn't understand how people were doing these numbers. But then when you break it down, you say, oh wow, they're just doing so much more work than me. It makes sense. It's kind of like the same thing with Instagram. I post 3 reels a day. That's what I at least try to do. And if someone's only posting 1, can they expect to beat me in growth if I'm posting 3 times as much as them and maybe 3 times as better as well? No, right? So it's the same thing with sneaker reselling. If we're talking about shoes in bulk, I have a guy who buys 100 pairs at once and you're only buying 1 to 10. He's gonna get 10 times as many sales just because he has more stuff for sale. It's that simple, right? He has more variety, more products listed, more eyes, he's gonna sell stuff quicker. It's really that simple. And we have a 3 to 4% rule is what I call, which means on average, you'll sell around 3 to 4% of your inventory daily. Now, when that number gets higher, it's probably a little bit less, but that's all it is. Andy's buying 500, 600 pairs of shoes a month, if not more than that, right? And that's how he's getting those numbers. He's just selling so many shoes because he's buying way more than you. How can you expect to get 52,000 in sales if you didn't even spend, 10,000 last month, right? So it's really a volume thing. And when you do that, you just arbitragely, overall, you get more sales is what I'm trying to say. And that's the goal for most people. They just need help with sourcing. That's what our group helps people do. And that's how we can help them scale. I don't really have to change anything else in their business. Like let's say you're a hype reseller, but if I implement bricks and I implement Amazon and we add in the Nike backend with some of our in-store monitors and then also online leads, that's 5 new ways of sourcing that you weren't currently doing that instantly get implemented in your business, which means since they're at 0, even if you make any money at all, you automatically go up. Right, so it's very easy to help a lot of these resellers scale because they're not doing the stuff that we're doing, which means it doesn't take away from their current business, it can only add to it. So especially if you're someone who's doing like used shoes or something that's very niche, I recommend getting into this business as well in some of these areas, like I just mentioned, a lot of the brick stuff, because again, it can only add to your business. You're very protected with return policies as well. And again, it's just gonna increase your sales because you have more variety. So those are the 5 tips that I want to give away in this video. I do have a bonus tip, so if you guys are ready for it, here it is, all right? This is creating your own marketplace. What I mean by that is getting people, what could be your followers, customers, to repeat and continue to come back to you again. I have a client inside of my coaching program, ARCP, Advanced Reselling Coaching Program. His name's Josh. He is killing it right now, but basically one thing that he did, and I love this idea, he created a friends and family Facebook group. So what that is he has friends and family that he's done business with before, just people that he's bought from before. And it's probably 200, 250 people he told me that he has in this Facebook group. And anytime he buys a new shoe that he thinks they'd be interested in, he posts it in there. Right? So if you're someone who's doing bulk and a bunch of volume, you can create a small community like this, post your stuff in there, and whenever someone's interested, they'll hit you up. The great thing about this is repeat customers. The problem a lot of you guys have is you don't have repeat customers because you don't have a repeat sourcing method, right? Your sourcing is really inconsistent. But if you learn that, which is what we were talking about in this video, then you can get these repeat customers. So let's say Josh, out of those 200 people, has 50 of them that buy from him every single month. So a quarter of them, right? So every single month, a quarter of them will buy from him. That's 50 guaranteed sales that he has every single month. A lot of you guys can't even get past 50 sales, right? So with that, it doesn't matter what he does in the month. If he wakes up, and he's, just sick for the entire month, doesn't go to work, whatever, he has 50 guaranteed sales as long as he has the shoes for those people who are willing to buy, right? And then guess what? When you add more and more people to that community, that number gets higher and higher and higher. That's the idea of kind of continuity. You want to be able to get these repeat customers. Again, a lot of you guys aren't building anything, and I did this for years, don't get me wrong. I was on GOAT, StockX, I was selling on there, and I was doing hundreds of thousands, millions, and it was okay, and I was making money from it for sure. The problem is, if I stopped selling on those platforms the next day, guess what would happen? My business would go to 0 because I had no repeat customers at all, right? So if I quit selling, that was it, my business was done, right? So I didn't really have a business, I had an arbitrage play, which is okay, and you can make money from that for sure, but that's not what you want, right? You want to build a long-term business so you have repeat customers, you have people coming to you, you have referrals, you have all this stuff. And you can do that as simply as just starting like a Facebook group like Josh did, or potentially, again, creating an Instagram or a brand, whatever it is, right? But that's my biggest tip that I'd recommend to you guys, and it's a bonus for watching to the end of this video. So I appreciate you guys on here. Remember, selling is simple. When you have patience, when you have the system set in place, you can make a ton of sales. This is pretty much all you need to do to get a lot of sales. It's everything that I've done, again, to do over 2 million in sales by 20. Okay, so trust me, you guys can do it. I didn't know what I was doing. I implemented this stuff. I learned along the way. These are the biggest tips that I wish I knew. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys are interested in working with me and learning about how you can source more, sell more, again, just get more support, I have the link to my accelerator group down below. We're actually closing the group at the end of this month, so check it out if you want or don't. It's up to you. But thank you guys for watching this, and have a good rest of your day. All right, see you guys.